Hello students. Today we are going to learn the poem A Photograph by Shirley Toulson. Let's learn more about the poem. Shirley Toulson was born on May 20, 1924 in England. She was a poet, a teacher, a journalist and an editor. Her father was also a writer and her works have been influenced by her father. After securing a literature degree in the year 1953, she served as an editor for many magazines. She has an interest in Celtic Christianity and it has been reflected in many of her works. Now let's look at the theme of the poem. The main theme is the permanence of nature and transience of human life, which means life is ever changing and nature is the only element which is permanent. Students, do you remember Lord Tennyson's The Brook? For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. What Tennyson was trying to tell us was the brook will go on forever, but men may come and go. Human life is ever changing and nature is the only permanent element. Photograph is a moment captured forever. Do you agree? We all take a lot of photographs. We click photos of people, things, and definitely when we look back at those photographs, all the memories flourish and we feel like reliving those memories. Now let's look at the poem. The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins went paddling, each one holding one of her mother's hands. And she, the big girl, some 12 years or so. All three stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera. A sweet face, my mother's, and that was before I was born. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. The cardboard here denotes the photograph or the frame on which the photograph is pasted. Me is the poet. Paddling is walking in the shallow waters, which means we have three girls enjoying their sea holiday. She, the big girl is poet's mother, and that's some 12 years or so. She is a 12-year-old girl in the photograph. And we see all three stood still to smile through their hair. Why is that phrase used? Smile through their hair? As we know now that it was a sea holiday and they all were standing on the beach, seashore, and the wind is covering their face with their hair. Still they are standing, smiling in the camera. Who's taking the photograph? Poet's mother's uncle is taking the photograph. A sweet face, my mother's, that was before I was born. Mother's face is compared as a very sweet face. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. Remember Tennyson, men may come, men may go, I go on forever. Similarly, the sea, which is there in the photograph, hasn't changed. And the mother, yes, mother has grown old and she has even lost her life, but the sea is permanent. Terribly here, terribly means extremely. Transient is temporary. Transient feet. We know when we stand on a seashore, what happens? The water comes and will wash our feet and we feel that our feet is going inside the sand. We get stuck there. But sea never changes. Human life keeps on changing. The next stanza. Some 20, 30 years later, she would laugh at the snapshot. See Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. The sea holiday was her past. Mine is a laughter. Both wry with the labored ease of loss. Now, the second stanza is when the poet's mother is in her 30s or 40s, and the poet is sitting with her, and they both look at the photograph. So, mother and daughter looks at the photograph of the mother in her childhood days. She will laugh at the snapshot. Snapshot means photograph. See Betty and Dolly. Betty and Dolly are mother's cousins. She would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. The way they dressed for the beach. She finds it quite funny because after so many years she's looking at the photograph. Fashion changes, they change. The sea holiday was her past. The sea holiday was mother's past. Mine is her laughter. And the poet's past is her laughter. That is mother's laughter. Both wry with the labored ease of loss. Wry is both are tired or annoyed. Labored. Labored is something done with a lot of labor, lot of difficulty. Labored ease. Labored ease is an oxymoron where two opposite thoughts are coming. Labored is with difficulty. Ease is something comes out easily of loss. What is the loss? Mother's loss is her sea holiday, that is a wonderful childhood, and poet's loss is her mother's laughter. Now we come to the last stanza. Now she has been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived, and of this circumstance there is nothing to say at all. Its silence silences. Now she has been dead. She, poet's mother, dead nearly as many years as that girl lived, which means 12 years, because the girl in the photograph was 12-year-old. And of this circumstance, what is this circumstance? The death of the mother. There is nothing to say at all. Its silence silences. The silence of death silences all. Now the poet is all alone. Her mother is no more, and she looks at the photograph and tries to remember the good old days she had with her mother. As you can see, the stanzas become shorter and shorter towards the end, and the last stanza is just 4 lines because silence of death silences all. That's all for the poem. Now let's look at the summary, a quick recap. An old photograph of the poet's mother, which is pasted on a cardboard, makes the poet recall the old memories of her mother's childhood. The photograph is a depiction of her mother's enjoyable moments at the sea with her two cousins who were younger to her, Betty and Dolly. Everything has changed since then. Her mother grew up, she is dead, and the poet was reviving her memories. The only thing that has remained unchanged is a sea which was washing the feet of all three girls. The stanza beautifully explains the transient nature of human beings. Even 20 or 30 years later, the mother would look at the photograph and laugh nostalgically, remembering the happy memories of her past. Sea holiday was a mother's past, and her mother's laughter has become a thing of past for the poet, as her mother was now dead. The poet recalls that it is nearly 12 years since her mother died. The poet is consumed with grief but is left with no words to express her loss and pain. The silence caused by death makes the atmosphere gloomy, where no one is able to utter words. Now let's look at the poetic devices, figures of speech used in the poem. Allusion. Allusion is an accidental mention of something. It could be direct or by implication. For example, in the first line, the cardboard shows. The cardboard is actually nothing but a reference to the photograph. Alliteration, children, you know what is an alliteration. It is a repetition of an initial letter, mostly a consonant, of several words marking the stressed syllable in a line of poem. For example, terribly transient, stood still to smile, the sounds terribly transient, t. It's silence, silences, the sounds s. So this is alliteration. Hope it's clear to you all. To the next, transferred epithet. Some of you might not be really aware of this one. A transferred epithet is a description that refers to a character or event that is used to describe a different situation or character. Confusing? No. A transient feat is an example of transferred epithet. How? Transient feat is a feat of the children which is mentioned here, but in a larger perspective, it is talking about lack of permanence of human life. So directly it is talking about the feat, but indirectly it hints at the lack of permanence, that is the transient nature, changing nature of human life. Clear? Now, oxymoron. I think I mentioned oxymoron earlier during the discussion of the poem. Let's review that. In this literary device, there are two opposite ideas that join to create an effect. Labored ease in the poem is an example of an oxymoron. Labored means with great difficulty and ease means comfortably. Both words have opposite meanings, but here they are clubbed together. You want some common examples of oxymoron? Here it goes. Open secret, seriously funny, awfully pretty, foolish wisdom, original copies, liquid gas, old news, agreed to disagree, regularly irregular, alone in a crowd, awfully lucky, and unpopular celebrities. So these are a few examples of oxymoron. Now move on to the next figure of speech, personification. The example is it's silence silences. What is personification? When we attribute the qualities of a living being to a non-living being. For example, in Tennyson's Brook, Brook is personified. I go on forever. I is Brook. Brook is a non-living thing. Similarly, it's silence silences. The situation has given human quality of silence. It's silence silences. That is, a circumstance has been given the qualities of human life. Clear? Now, these are a few textual questions and the value points which might help you to answer these questions in the examination. First question, what does the word cardboard denote in the poem? Why has this word been used? We know cardboard, yes, it is allusion, the poetic device, and it is nothing but the photograph which is pasted on a cardboard for framing. So you should just elaborate it into a few sentences and write the answer. Now, what has the camera captured? It's very clear. There was mother's uncle who was standing with the camera and it captured the three girls. Who are they? Poet's mother, her two cousins, Betty and Dolly, and they were enjoying their sea holiday. Third question, what has not changed over the years? Does this suggest something to you? Yes, we know what doesn't change. The sea. It symbolizes eternity, immortality, and it also suggests that nature is permanent, human life is transient, ever changing. Question number 4. The poet's mother laughed at the snapshot. What did this laugh indicate? Laughing is nothing but an expression of her happiness. It's not mockery. She's happily remembering her past. She was remembering her favorite past memories, and the laugh indicates nostalgia. You know what is nostalgia? Nostalgia is longing for the past. When you become a teenager, you have nostalgic memories of your childhood. When you become an adult, grown up, you have nostalgic memories of your childhood and early teenage. And when you leave the country, you have nostalgic memories of your hometown. So this is nostalgia. Move on to the next question. What is the meaning of the line, both Rai with the labored ease of loss? I think we discussed it a lot. Rai is annoyed, tired. Labored ease is nothing but an oxymoron. Loss is mother lost her childhood and fun memories, happy days. Daughter, that is a poet, she lost mother's laughter and mother herself. So, which means both of them were struggling to ease the situation, dealing with their loss. Question number 6. What does this circumstance refer to? This circumstance, remember the death of the mother, and around 12 years after the death of her mother, the poet remembers her while looking at the photograph. So, this circumstance, the death, and poet looking at the photograph. Last question. The three stanzas depict three different faces. What are they? Stanza 1, mother's childhood days, yes, the sea holiday, the photograph. Stanza 2, poet's childhood with her mother when they both used to look at the photograph and laugh and recall the moments. Yes. Stanza 3, poet remembering her mother who's dead now while looking at the photograph. So this is a photograph by Shirley Toulson. Now, shall we try some extended activity? We know that the poem was a creation based on memory. Why not create our own memory, children? So, this is the work for you. So, you prepare a write up on the topic My Mother, including the past and present of your mother. And don't forget to paste the photographs. Talk about her life as a girl, a teenager, and how things have changed ever since she became a mother. Your creative heads can write an essay, a poem, a short story, or letter, anything that's your own and unique. So go ahead, children. I'm sure you both will enjoy this. Thank you.